I never imagined I'd go through labor alone. Not because I was single, not because I wanted to, but because my husband, Jason, was busy. Let me backtrack a bit. Jason and I had been married for 4 years. We weren't perfect, but I believed we were solid. We'd been trying for a baby for over a year, and when I finally got that positive test, we both cried. Or at least, I cried. Jason smiled, held me, told me we were going to be amazing parents, but now that I look back, there was something hollow in his voice. A subtle vacancy. Like he was checking off a box, not celebrating a dream. My pregnancy wasn't easy. I had morning sickness that felt like 24/7 nausea. My feet were swollen, my back ached constantly, and I was exhausted. Jason started staying at work later and later. At first, I didn't think much of it. He had just been promoted, and he said he was building a better future for us. But there were nights he didn't come home until 1 a.m., reeking of hotel soap and someone else's perfume. I told myself I was paranoid. Hormonal. Insecure. I wanted to believe him. Then came the night my water broke, 2 weeks early. It was 11:37 p.m. I was home alone, folding tiny baby clothes, when I felt it, a warm gush followed by a wave of pain that made me clutch the edge of the crib for balance. I called Jason immediately, breathless and panicking. He didn't pick up. I tried again. Straight to voicemail. Finally, on the 4th call, he answered. I could hear muffled noise in the background, music, maybe. Or was it laughter? Babe, I'm in the middle of something important. Can your mom take you? He asked, whispering. I felt like the ground split under me. I'm having your child, Jason, I choked out. He sighed. Okay, I'll be there soon. Just, hold on. But soon turned into never. I called my mom, who lived an hour away, but rushed to me like her tires were on fire. She held my hand the whole ride to the hospital, calming me through contractions as I sobbed, not from the pain, but the heartbreak. We arrived, got checked in, and the nurses were incredible. One of them, Nurse Michelle, gently asked me, "Is your husband on his way?" I hesitated, swallowing down the shame. He said he's coming. She gave me a sad smile. Men don't always step up when it counts. At 4:42 a.m., after 7 hours of labor, I delivered our son. I was drenched in sweat, my eyes puffy from crying, and I couldn't stop shaking. But when they laid my baby on my chest, everything else faded. He was beautiful. So small. So perfect. I named him Eli. The nurse smiled and said, "That's a strong name." I didn't tell her the truth, that Eli was the name of the man I almost married before Jason. The man who loved me deeply, but moved abroad when his father got sick. The man I still wondered about from time to time, not because I wanted him back, but because with him, I never once doubted I was loved. Jason finally arrived, 10 hours later. His excuse? There was a company emergency, and then my phone died. He looked polished. Not a single wrinkle in his shirt. Not a hint of sweat. If he had rushed here, I couldn't tell. If he felt guilty, he was hiding it behind a fake smile and a cheap bouquet of carnations. "Hey," he said, trying to kiss my forehead. I turned away. He looked down at the baby in my arms. Wow. He's ours. I didn't respond. "What did you name him?" he asked, eyes still on the baby. "Eli." He blinked. "Eli? Like, your ex?" I held my breath. He remembered. "He was important to me," I said flatly. The name felt right. Jason didn't respond. Just nodded, slowly. His jaw tensed, but he didn't dare challenge me, not while I was in that hospital bed, hooked to IVs, our newborn asleep on my chest. But I saw it in his eyes. He was shaken. Not just by the name, but because he could tell I knew something. What he didn't know was that I had proof. When I'd arrived at the hospital, my mom had handed my phone to one of the nurses. That same nurse later whispered to me, while Jason was gone, "Your husband wasn't at work, honey." My heart stopped. She explained that my mom had called the office, panicking, asking for Jason when he didn't answer. The receptionist had said, "Oh, Jason's off today." He said he had a personal day. And where had he spent that personal day? That's what I was about to find out. Because my best friend, Serena, had been suspicious for weeks. And while I was in labor, she had done a little digging. I had several missed messages from her, but one stood out. "Girl, you're not gonna believe where he was last night. I have photos." I'm so sorry. I didn't even need to look yet. I already knew. Jason cheated on me while I was bringing our son into this world. And now, I had every intention of making sure he never forgot it. It's strange how someone can break you at your most vulnerable and still have the audacity to smile like nothing happened. Jason stood there in that sterile hospital room, hands in his pockets, staring at baby Eli like he was trying to memorize his face. Maybe trying to memorize what his guilt looked like. I wanted to scream at him. Shake him. Show him the messages. The receipts. The truth. But instead, I smiled. Not for him. For me. Because I'd already made a decision, I wasn't going to confront him just yet. I wanted him to sit with the weight of my silence. I wanted him to wonder. Let him enjoy this fake little bubble of control while it lasts. The name Eli clearly shook him. He hadn't seen it coming. Jason never liked talking about my exes, especially Eli Parker. Even back when we were dating, the mention of him made Jason twitch. It wasn't jealousy, it was insecurity. Eli had been my first love, yes. But he was also the only man who ever made me feel seen, like I wasn't just someone's emotional crutch. We broke up because of distance, not betrayal. When he moved abroad to take care of his dying father, we had one of those long, tearful, painful goodbyes. There was never closure, just respect. Jason once told me, "You loved him more than you'll ever love me." I didn't deny it. But I still married him. And now, the name I gave our child felt like reclaiming a part of myself I had buried. A quiet form of resistance. Of revenge. Serena came to visit that evening. She brought flowers, snacks, and her signature, "I have tea and it's scalding," face. Jason wasn't there. He said he had to handle something at work. Again. This time, I didn't even try to stop him. As soon as he left, Serena leaned in and whispered, "You ready?" My stomach clenched. "Show me." She opened her phone and pulled up a folder titled, "Jason the Joke." Inside were time-stamped photos from the night I went into labor. There he was, wearing the same shirt he wore to the hospital. Walking into a hotel on the east side of town. His arm draped around a tall blonde. She looked young. Too young. In another photo, he was kissing her outside the elevator. Her hands were all over him. I covered my mouth, not because I was shocked, I already knew. But seeing it made it real. Serena held my hand while I stared at the images. My fingers went numb. "That's not even the worst part," she said grimly. "Guess who she is?" I didn't respond. "Her name's Candace. She used to be an intern at his firm. Left last month when she suddenly got a better offer." My insides turned cold. I had seen Candace once, at Jason's office Christmas party. She was polite. Sweet. Barely legal. Jason had introduced her as a driven young professional. Now I realized he was just grooming her. "I can't believe this," I whispered. "You can," Serena corrected. "You just didn't want to." She was right. I had ignored every sign. The late nights. The mysterious, dead phone. The way he stopped holding my hand in public. I had begged myself to believe in him because the alternative, giving birth as a single mom, was terrifying. But here I was. And I wasn't terrified anymore. I was angry. Controlled. Focused. When Jason came back the next morning, I was feeding Eli with a calm smile on my face. The kind of smile you wear right before you hand someone their karma on a silver platter. "How's our little man doing?" he asked, walking in with overpriced coffee and a croissant like he was some attentive partner. "He's peaceful," I replied. He sat down beside me, watching Eli with something that almost looked like pride. I studied his face, and for a moment, I saw it. Regret. Not about cheating. About getting caught. I pointed at the croissant. "Candace picked that out for you?" Jason's eyes snapped up. "What?" I tilted my head. Or was it someone else this time? He froze. I didn't press it. I wasn't ready to confront him fully. Not yet. Let him squirm a bit longer. "I was just kidding," I added sweetly, taking a sip of coffee. He laughed nervously. "Oh. Yeah. Good one." The discharge day came quickly. Jason insisted on driving us home. The whole ride, he kept touching Eli's tiny fingers, calling him buddy, and saying how he'd teach him how to ride a bike someday. I didn't interrupt. I just watched. Wondered if he realized that this little boy he helped create would someday grow old enough to understand what betrayal looks like. And how it starts with a lie, delivered during labor. Back home, I got Eli settled in his crib. Serena had helped baby-proof the apartment. My mom dropped off frozen meals. I felt safe, supported, and more awake than I had in months. Jason hovered awkwardly. He tried to hold my waist. I stepped aside. "We need to talk," he said finally. "We do," I replied. "But not yet." "Why not?" "Because you're not ready to tell me the truth. And I'm not ready to pretend I don't already know it." He looked rattled. "Did someone say something?" he asked. No, I lied. My gut did. Jason sighed, ran a hand through his hair, and looked like he wanted to run. I could feel the walls closing in on him. Good. He hadn't even seen the evidence yet. And when he did, when I laid it all out, I wanted it to hurt. I wanted him to feel half the betrayal I felt pushing his child into this world while he was busy undressing someone else. That night, I rocked Eli to sleep. He stared up at me with wide, trusting eyes, and I whispered to him, "You were born into chaos, my love. But you'll be raised in truth." And just before I closed his nursery door, I added one more whisper. "Your name means something. One day, I'll tell you why." Jason was spiraling, and he didn't even know why yet. He was walking around the apartment like a man trying to hold his life together with duct tape and forced smiles. He overcompensated with Eli, always hovering, always offering help. If he changed one more diaper in the span of 10 minutes, I swear the baby was going to file a complaint himself. But behind his model dad act, I saw the cracks. The nervous glances. The jumpy responses to every phone buzz. The over-explaining. Jason could feel it, that something had shifted. That I was no longer the same woman who once clung to his affection. And that terrified him. Good. Because the day he finally found out, it broke whatever illusion he still had about controlling the narrative. It happened on a Tuesday. I was in the kitchen heating up a bottle for Eli when I heard Jason's voice from the living room. "What the hell is this?" I turned the corner and saw him staring at my phone, screen still lit. My stomach clenched. He had picked it up from the couch while it buzzed. A message from Serena had popped up. "Serena, still can't believe you actually named the baby Eli Poetic Justice." Jason's face was pale. Lips tight. Fingers clenched. "Care to explain this?" he asked, holding the phone up like it was some smoking gun. I walked toward him slowly and took the phone back without flinching. "Not really. You already read it." "So it was on purpose," he snapped. "Of course it was," I replied calmly. "You cheated while I was in labor. Did you really think I was going to name him something you picked?" Jason's face contorted. "I didn't cheat on you. What the hell are you talking about?" There it was. The lie. So casual. So practiced. So automatic. I smiled. "Would you like to see the photos?" He froze. "What photos?" I grabbed my laptop from the table and opened the folder Serena had shared with me, the one titled Jason the Joke. I clicked through the images slowly, deliberately. There he was, time-stamped, walking into a hotel with Candace. Another of them kissing. Another of him checking in at the front desk with his hand on her lower back. I turned the screen toward him. Jason's face went slack. He looked like someone had just ripped the air from his lungs. "I was giving birth to your son," I said quietly. "While you were screwing an intern." He opened his mouth. Closed it. Then tried again. "It wasn't like that." I laughed. A bitter, joyless sound. "It wasn't like that?" "Enlighten me, Jason. Did she trip and fall onto your bed?" I was scared, okay? You were in labor early, and I didn't know what to do. So your solution was to disappear and cheat on me? That was your panic response?" Jason's face twisted into something ugly. Defensive. Panicked. "You're overreacting. It wasn't even serious with her. I just needed an escape." I could feel the rage climbing my throat, choking me. But I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just looked at him with disgust. "You needed an escape while I was being torn apart bringing our son into the world. You left me bleeding and screaming and terrified, and you ran off to get laid." Jason ran a hand through his hair, pacing like a caged animal. "You don't understand the pressure I was under." "Oh, don't you dare make this about pressure," I hissed. I was growing a human inside me. My bones were shifting, my skin tearing. "You know what pressure feels like, Jason? Try being split open while your husband is untraceable and a nurse has to lie about where he is so you don't fall apart during labor." He fell into the armchair like he couldn't hold himself up. "I made a mistake," he whispered. "No," I corrected him. "A mistake is forgetting a birthday. A mistake is burning dinner. What you did was a conscious betrayal." He started crying. Real tears. But I didn't feel sorry. Not even for a second. "You named our son after your ex," he said bitterly, like it hurt him more than being caught. I shrugged. "You earned that name. You earned every syllable of it." Jason shook his head. "How can you be so cold?" "Cold?" I echoed. "Jason, I warmed a bottle for your son this morning while reading through photos of you groping a girl who can't even rent a car legally. Cold would have been changing the locks and filing for divorce before you made it back from your little hotel rendezvous." He stood up slowly, trembling. "So what now? You gonna take him away from me? I looked him dead in the eyes. I don't need to take him anywhere. You walked out of this family the second you chose her over us. All I'm doing now is making that official. He didn't speak for the rest of the night. Slept on the couch, though I doubt he actually slept. The next morning, he was gone before sunrise. No note. No calls. Just vanished. And honestly, it felt like a breath of fresh air. I called my lawyer that same day. It's been 3 weeks. Jason's tried calling. Texting. Even showed up once, flowers in hand, begging to talk. I didn't answer the door. He left a voicemail saying he was losing everything and that he made the biggest mistake of his life. He's right. He lost a wife. He lost the right to be there during our child's first moments. And most of all, he lost the illusion that I'd always forgive him. Eli's growing fast. He gurgles when I sing to him. He stares at me like I'm his entire world, and I am. One day, he'll ask me about his name. And I'll tell him the truth. That I gave him a name rooted in real love, not in spite, but in reminder. A reminder that I chose strength over silence. And that his mother? She didn't just survive betrayal, she named it. The thing about men like Jason? They don't regret what they did, they regret being caught. The crying, the flowers, the voicemails about how broken he was, none of it came until the fallout started catching up with him. Not when he watched me sob alone in a hospital bed. Not when I screamed pushing his son into this world. Not when I named that child after another man he always felt inferior to. No. His regret only came when his life started crumbling. And now, he wanted to salvage what was left of it, starting with me. 2 days after our confrontation, he came back. Unannounced. I was sitting on the couch with Eli asleep in my arms when I heard a soft knock. I froze. Looked through the peephole. And there he was, Jason, holding a duffel bag in one hand and a small stuffed bear in the other. I didn't want to open the door. But part of me, the part that needed closure, did. I cracked it just enough to speak. Why are you here? He looked exhausted. Pale. Like the weight of what he did was finally suffocating him. I just want to talk, he said quietly. Please. I stared at him. At the man who once promised me forever. At the same man who kissed someone else while I screamed through contractions alone. I wanted to slam the door in his face. Instead, I stepped aside. Just once. For the last time. He stepped in and looked around the apartment like he hadn't seen it before, like everything was new, even though it was him who had changed. I didn't offer him a seat. I stood, arms crossed, watching him shift uncomfortably. I'm sorry, he said finally, voice cracking. For everything. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. But I want to fix this. I want to be a father to Eli. I want to make things right with you. I blinked slowly. Fix what, Jason? The cheating? The abandonment? Or the fact that you were more concerned about my baby name choice than the fact that you were caught? He swallowed hard. I was scared. Stop saying that. It's the truth. No, I snapped. The truth is, you chose her. You chose to be somewhere else while your wife was in labor. You chose to miss your son's birth. That wasn't fear. That was selfishness. Jason opened his mouth, but I cut him off. I gave you chances, Jason. I trusted you when you said you were working late. I defended you to my mother, to my friends. I even blamed myself, thought maybe I wasn't enough. Tears welled in my eyes, but I didn't let them fall. You made me feel like I was too much while you were out there giving yourself to someone who hadn't even finished college. He flinched like I slapped him. I wasn't thinking clearly, he muttered. Funny, I said coldly. I've been sleep-deprived, in pain, bleeding, nursing around the clock, and I still managed to think clearly enough not to blow up my family for a cheap thrill. Jason walked toward the crib, staring down at Eli. He looks like you. No, I said softly. He looks like me, but he deserves better than you. He turned to me. Don't keep him from me. I'm not keeping him from anyone. I'm protecting him from someone who walked away when it mattered most. I picked up a folder from the table, thick, crisp, and stapled. Jason's eyes widened. What's that? Custody papers, I said calmly. I've already filed. You'll have supervised visitation. That's the best I'm willing to offer right now. He reached for the folder, but I pulled it back. I suggest you read them carefully. There's also a court-mandated paternity test request. He recoiled. You think I'm not the father? I narrowed my eyes. Oh, I know you're the father. But I want it on record. Because I don't trust a man who lies so easily. He stepped back, breathing heavily. You're really doing this? I already did it. And now. I need you to leave. Please, he whispered. Let me make this right. I stared at him. The man I married. The man I carried a child for. And I said the one thing he never expected. You made your bed in a hotel. Go lie in it. He didn't fight. He didn't scream. He just nodded. Quietly. Broken. And left. I locked the door behind him and cradled Eli to my chest, rocking him gently. He stirred, yawned, and nestled into me. I whispered, you don't need two parents under one roof. You need peace. And I promise you, you'll have it. That night, I got another message from Serena. Serena, guess who just got dumped by Candace? Apparently she found out he was married and a new dad. Karma. Delivered. Right on time. Jason has since texted me once a day. Most go unread. Occasionally I scan one. I was stupid. I lost everything. I see your posts with Eli. You're such a good mom. I hate myself for what I did. Please let me make amends. But my favorite? Do you think you'll ever forgive me? And my answer is always the same, unsent, but silently spoken. No. But I'll never forget. And that's worse, isn't it? 6 months have passed since Jason walked out of our apartment for the last time. 6 long, quiet, healing months. Eli has grown so much. He's teething now, which means I haven't had a full night's sleep in weeks, but somehow I don't mind. He giggles when I sing off-key lullabies. He kicks his legs when he hears Serena's voice on speaker. And sometimes, when I look into those curious little eyes, I wonder how something so pure came from something so damaged. Jason still tries. Desperately. At first, he followed the court orders without a fight. Supervised visits once a week. An attempt at showing up for his son, on time, sober, clean-shaven, dressed like a dad from a Target commercial. But beneath that neat exterior, I could see it, the regret, the shame, the ache of knowing this was all self-inflicted. He'd bring toys Eli was too young for. Ask about his sleep schedule. Offer to help out more, as if time and toys could replace the trauma of abandonment. One afternoon during visitation, he finally asked. Why him? I didn't even need to ask who he meant. Why Eli? Why name him after someone you loved before me? I looked at him, calm and unbothered. Because I wanted our son to carry a name rooted in honor. Not betrayal. Not lies. Just truth. Jason's face fell. You knew what you were doing, he whispered. I did, I said. Just like you knew what you were doing when you left me alone in that hospital bed. He didn't respond. Just looked down at Eli, who gurgled happily in the arms of the court-appointed visitation supervisor. You hate me, don't you? Jason asked. I shook my head. I don't hate you. I just don't believe in you anymore. He's tried asking about reconciliation. Once, he even showed up with a letter. 3 pages long. Handwritten. Apologies and flashbacks to our better days. How he wished we could start fresh. Try again, for Eli. I never opened it. I burned it in the sink while Eli napped. Because here's the thing, I'm not trying to raise my son in a home full of silence, secrets, or second-guessing. He deserves peace. Not a patched-up marriage doomed to fall apart again. Reddit, you've walked this journey with me from the moment my water broke and my heart shattered. So here's the final update. I'm no longer Jason's wife. Our divorce was finalized last week. I didn't cry. I didn't even sigh. I signed the papers, held Eli close, and exhaled the life I once thought I wanted. I thought I needed a picture-perfect family. I thought my child needed both parents under one roof to thrive. But I was wrong. What my son needs is a present parent. A safe space. A mother who won't crumble under the weight of being unloved. And me? I needed the storm. I needed the betrayal. I needed the pain, because it finally showed me my own strength. Jason asked me last week, through text. Does he know who I am? I stared at that message for a long time. And then I typed back. He knows who I am. And that's enough for now. Because here's the truth. Eli doesn't need a father who shows up for court visits. He needs a mother who never stopped showing up for him. And as for Jason? He gave up the right to be a husband the moment he chose a hotel room over the delivery room. Now, all he has is a handful of regrets, and a son whose name will haunt him for the rest of his life. To the man who left me in labor for a stranger. I hope you remember every breathless scream, every tear, every lonely moment I endured while you were with her. Because I named our son Eli, not out of spite. But to remind you what real love could have looked like. And to myself, for surviving it.